I don't have a good transition for this, but let's just do it.
Let's dunk on Bloomberg. Is that what we're going to do?
Let's just do it. Yes, yes, yes. You read my mind.
Go for
So,
it, Jamie.
New York's former God Emperor Mike Bloomberg recently weighed in on school reopenings. And what do you know? He's found a sudden wellspring of empathy, and he wants to know, teachers, adults, won't somebody please think of the children?
President Biden wants to open schools, and he's already getting pushback. What's your take on that?
Well, I think that what we're doing to poor kids is a disgrace. These poor kids are not in school. They will never recover from this, and they had a bad education experience anyways. We have not had good schools for poor kids, and this now is just so much worse. The president has to stand up to the unions.
The teachers' unions?
Teachers, yes, the teachers' unions. You know, the teachers say, well, I don't want to go back because it's dangerous. We have a lot of city and state and federal employees who run risks. That's part of the job. You run risks to help America, to help your state, to help your city, to help your family. And there's just no reason not to have the schools open. The virtual classes are a joke. It is worse than a joke. Poor people don't have iPads, they don't have Wi-Fi, they don't have somebody at home to sit during the day and force the child to pay attention. And without that, the virtual learning just does not exist. And the teachers' unions you see in Chicago and in New York, we've had problems. It's time for Joe Biden to stand up and say, the kids are the most important things, important players here. And the teachers just are going to have to suck it up and stand up and provide an education. Otherwise, these kids have no chance whatsoever, Stephanie. It is a disaster what's happening to them.
He is such a vile piece of shit. And yeah, I'm sure he's very concerned about the children and not, just his constant obsession with for-profit schooling and the fact that, teachers may have some sort of voice and are standing up against the powerful. I mean, come on.
When he was talking in the beginning about how this is really hurting our poor children, I was thinking, oh, you're talking about stop and frisk?
Yeah. Maybe he's in favor of hazard pay then. Okay. Right. You want to have a conversation? You want to have a conversation about the teachers having to be put at risk in this instance? All right. Start with hazard pay.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll see about that.
There's government jobs where, you take the job because there is an inherent risk involved. For example, if you are going to work in, the Department of Sanitation or something, that when it snows, you're going to probably be involved with the cleanup there. And that might be a thing that, could be risky if it's really bad snowfall. Conditions could be tough. But as a teacher, you never signed up as part of, and with the risk already, built in, where you were going to be in a classroom with 30 plus kids from all over from all different households during a pandemic. That's not part of the built-in risk when you become a teacher. I'm sorry. And he's so worried about the kids. A lot of teachers have kids. What do we do with those kids when their mother or father dies? What do we tell them? Sorry, your mother or father had to suck it up because Bloomberg said so, instead of just giving these kids who don't have iPads or computers a fucking iPad or computer. Give me a fucking break.
That seems like the sensible solution, obviously. Also, I Googled Mike Bloomberg on his education record for 10 seconds before the show, just to brush up. I'm like, I know there's some bad stuff there, probably. Yeah, he misused hundreds of millions of dollars meant for class size reduction, and class size actually rose under his purview. He pushed standardized testing despite having no scientific backing for doing so, exacerbated segregation, raised the cap for charter schools, tried to privatize education at every single turn, and compared the American Federation of Teachers to the NRA when they dared to criticize him. So forgive me for not thinking that this guy cares the most about our kids.
Yeah, this is the whole point about the essential workers, where it's just we're going to valorize them culturally but not actually them for the risks that they're taking, right? Like all those people that are also taking those public employees, they should be compensated more as well. The teachers are stand up for it because of strong unions, and like, yeah, it's unbelievable that we can that bailing out funds or like thinking about it, and we can't think as Bloomberg sits in that weird tower, over snowy New York, just ridiculous. I mean, how much do they think this communicates to people?
Yeah, and his Jerry Seinfeld ass outfit. Like I talked to Kenzo Shibata about this in terms of Chicago last night, and it is just a mess. Like the teachers know better than Joe Biden or Mike Bloomberg what kind of conditions they're operating on and what's safe to do. And it's interesting that Bloomberg says poor kids. I'm sure that other people have tried to racialize it because, these categories are so linked in our society. Kenzo tells me the majority of Black and brown kids, which is a majority at the school where he teaches, their families don't want them to go back to school for in-person learning because it's more dangerous if you are in a poor, economically disadvantaged and or minority family, because your family is more likely to die of COVID because of medical racism, because of money disparities, all these different things. What they do if a kid is having symptoms of COVID in this particular school is they like put them on a stage in the auditorium surrounded by tubes and like ET looking shit. And it's like genuinely traumatic for the small kids. Like this is not a good situation for the teachers or the students, which is why the teachers in Chicago are, they're flexing their muscles. They're threatening to go out. We don't know yet what's going to happen. There's a 2-day cool down period right now, after which they might go on strike. But I will put a link to the mutual aid fund for Chicago teachers in this episode description if anyone wants to help them out.
And just another point on Bloomberg, it's really part and parcel of his paternalistic ideology, which I think is one of the biggest through lines when looking at his career, where, you can't drink this big of a soda, right? Yeah. How would have that played, by the way, in the general election if he were to be successful in the primary? And like, I'm going to stop and frisk you. I don't know if you've done anything wrong, but because you're Black or brown, I'm going to pat you down and violate your rights. And then also just the think of the children thing. It's politics of control in very creepy, specific, paternalistic, ways, where they want the children in schools because they have to learn to become better citizens, because otherwise they'd just be running the streets, selling drugs, whatever. That's kind of the mindset of this rich overlord dude. That's what he's always personified. And then obviously cracking down on unions. That's a big part of it. He wants to be the kingmaker, and he wants this society to be this place of intense control from top down.
Yep. Well, he would know, Emma. He's the king. Look at him. I mean, clearly I know what's best for you. Don't pretend like you know your own mind, Emma.
Oh, come on, guys. Michael Bloomberg won American Samoa in the primaries. Put some respect on that name.